Come across a flat tire? Here's how to change it. First thing you need to see is if we have the equipment. We'll need to check under the trunk in most cases to find the spare. Here we have a mini spare, which is used just in lower speeds just to get to the repair shop, but sometimes you'll have a full spare, which is the same size as your normal tire. Next, we need a way to get the car lifted. In most common cases, it will be a scissor jack. If one of these is missing, a fix-a-flat is an option. Now to engage your emergency or handbrake, mine is the leftmost pedal. Here's some of the tools from my car. First is the scissor jack, and make sure it has the long rod which will help us turn the screw mechanism to lift the car. The lug nut wrench, which should fit your wheel nuts. These are optional, but they're helpful as your tools might expand. A star, with the most common lug nut sizes, and in my case, a 21mm. Lug nuts sometimes are really tough to get off, and this is where a breaker bar is immensely helpful, with the right socket. These are my lug nuts. Cars will have between 4 to 6 on each tire, on average. And I have a locking lug nut, which requires a key to get it off. If you can't find the key, fix a flat, get towed, or wait till you find the key. Here's my key. It will match the grooves of the locking one, and allow you to get the lug off. There are many different kinds and styles. You may need to contact your dealer if the key is missing. Now while the car is still on the ground, you need to break the lugs loose, which will be extremely difficult to do once the car is lifted. First, a standard wrench, and sometimes you have to get it with some force, which means standing on the lever, lefty loosey. Next, let's try the star. Find the right size. This one allows you to push and pull to help get it off, and sometimes gives a little bit more leverage. Last, if you're lucky, you'll have a breaker bar with some right socket, which makes this a cinch. Because of the length, there's less amount of force you need to put to loosen. A pipe will also work, adding to the length of the wrench in a cinch. Now all the lugs are loose. Time to get the car in the air. Now you need to find a solid piece to lift the car from. And not all parts are equal down here. Here we have the bottom of the car and the frame. Go for the frame, the thick piece of steel. Some cars have a jack point, so check your owner's manual. Try to make sure you have a nice level surface before lifting. Turn clockwise or righty tighty by hand till the jack connects with the car. This will keep it from shifting by accident. Now use the hook to attach the eyelet of the jack and start turning. The more in line you are with the jack, the easier it is, but it does take some work. Eventually the car will be high enough to have some space under the wheel, at which point you can remove the hook to fully remove the lug nuts. Again, I will show you some tool options. The standard wrench does a fine job, but the star allows you to spin the nuts off quickly, and remember, you need to remove all the lug nuts. I've sped up the video to get to the next part. The time the tire is no longer attached to the car is the most dangerous, so be careful. If you can get the car high enough, you could run into an issue where the fully inflated spare does not fit. Lift the car a few more turns at a time, being careful not to shift anything. Put the flat tire flat under the car for extra security. And as you can see, the tire comes right off. Now to put the good tire on. Tires are heavy, and I find the best way to guide the tire into place is with my feet. Line up the studs with the holes of the rim, and use your feet to do a little lifting till everything lines up. And start putting one lug in by hand. Then the rest of them by hand, making sure not to cross thread. Cross threading is where the thread on the lug and the thread on the studs are not aligned, and it'll be difficult to put on. Back it out, lefty loosey, and put it back in righty tighty. By hand will help prevent cross threading, as it should be easy. Now turn to tighten, righty tighty, or clockwise. In a star pattern, always across from the other bolt, as it will allow to tighten evenly. Once roughly tightened, we can lower the car. We can turn the handles on the jack, lefty loosey, or counterclockwise. Now securely on the ground, tighten them snugly in a star pattern. This will need to be on pretty tight, so you don't lose your tire down the road. So put those legs and body weight into it. If you have access to a torque wrench, this would be set to about 100 foot-pounds, which the click will tell us. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, leave a comment on what else you'd like to see, and consider subscribing.